Hello, StreamYard. You guys are coming on board. It's Dr. Wendy Walsh. It's so nice to see you. As usual, give me a wave and let me know where you're watching from, because it's always fun to see people watching from around the world. I'll turn on the comments over here on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. And let me turn my banners on so you know who I am over here. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. As usual, I'm here to answer your relationship questions. Hi from New Jersey. Hi from Tampa, Florida. How are you? Loading the comments over here. Can't comment from some destinations. Hi, La Jolla. How are you from La Jolla? Best book on attachment already. Legacy Media is right into the questions. There is a book called Attached that it breaks it down for the layperson very well. Hello, Terry from Miami. Hey, Jay, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Except for one thing. I was swimming right before I did this, and then I threw makeup on really quick. Hi, Matt from Boise, Idaho. How are you? And my eyes are crying. I'm not sad. There's either some product or the chlorine or something. So I'll be blinking tears back a lot, but I do not feel sad. Hi from Del Mar. How are you? Tell me where everybody's watching from. And then I'm happy to answer your relationship questions. So bring them on. If it's something to do, thank you for your compliments. If it's something to do with the science of love, whether it's the biological science, the social science, or the psychological science, if I don't have an answer, I'll find an answer for you. Akshay, hi, how are you? Welcome back. Is it normal for anxious men to get sad when their girlfriends give one-word answers? Yeah, that's what the anxious attachment kind of style is. But you got to remember, it's not about her. It's not about her one-word answers. It's about the fact that you are wired to perceive that as something negative. She's a convenient object for something very old. By the way, anxious avoidant attachment relations are very tough. They are. Any more questions up here on Instagram? I'm trying to keep in touch. Hi, everybody. How you doing? It's nice to see you. Akshay over here on, I can't see where you're watching from. I think it's YouTube, is asking about attachment theory. What music can you play for love? Well, it depends what kind of music you enjoy. If you like heavy metal and you like to make love to it, then play that. If you like jazz, I like a little Brazilian jazz. I learned something though. I don't like lyrics because I'm a word person and I get distracted listening to the words. So I just need, thank you for the compliments. Very sweet. I just need to have music. I don't even need to have music. Ellensburg, Washington. Washington State? Yeah, I guess so. What can you do when you lose your girlfriend? Well, you got to get back up on that horse and ride it. Take a little time to grieve. Ask yourself what you could have done differently, and then get back on those dating apps. Best toys for couples. I'm not a sexologist. That's for you guys to figure out. I'm a psychologist. Hi, Andrea from Saskatchewan. How are you? Nice to see you. What is a player? A player is, men in general can more easily separate sex from love. Now, we have the widest range of sexual behavior of any primate species. So there are men who are monogamous primarily, and they're happy to be that way. But a player is somebody who wants to play the field, have lots of sex with lots of women, and they have to come up with a lot of strategies to extract sex from women who may not want to give them sex without any kind of definition or commitment. Hi, Maria from Brazil. Look at this, from everywhere. We got the whole coast, the West Coast. Well, Brazil's kind of in the middle, I guess. Does love happen in every shape or form? I don't know what you mean, but everybody has their own definition of love. That's the crazy thing about love. When you meet somebody, you think like, love should be this, or we should act this way. That's what love is. But guess what? They were raised in a completely different family of origin, and they have a different definition of love and a different set of expectations. So all we can hope to do is talk about our expectations. Hello from Iraq. How are you? Hi, Buzzy. How are you? It's your 20th anniversary today. Is it Andrea or Andrea? I never know, still there. The divorce rate is only 50% once you hit 20 years. So you got to repurpose your relationship. That's the advice I have for you, is have a discussion about what your new goals are for this next chapter of your relationship. That's really important. But congratulations, 20 years is tough. It is ups and downs. And I want people to understand that long-term monogamy is filled with phases and stages. And probably the most difficult time in a relationship is the first couple years, and then also when there's small children in the house, right? Hello, Rosemary from Charleston, North Carolina. How are you? How to date an avoidant attachment style person. Well, it depends who you are. If you're somebody with a secure attachment style and you can tolerate their avoidance and it doesn't send you into a tailspin because you have anxiety about it, then it can be fine. But if their style is pushing your buttons, then you're going to have a very difficult time. Is it bad to be clingy when you're in professional outings? Yes. We have to be really careful about what goes on in any kind of workplace setting. Even if we're bringing our spouse, our girlfriend, our boyfriend to a company picnic or something, even too much public displays of affection could trigger somebody else, right? Who's a workplace person. Oh, Wendy, I'm sorry to hear this. Wendy asks how, not me, Wendy, different Wendy, how do you stop fighting all the time? It's terrible. Well, you're obviously triggering each other. So my best bit of advice is this. You don't have to solve every argument. You just have to feel heard. So I think that prefacing your next argument with, I don't want you to change anything and I don't want to blame you. I just want you to hear my feelings. And then I'd like to hear your feelings about it. And then when you're finished expressing your feelings, then say, okay, now let's go out to dinner. Like, let's just stop it. We've heard each other's side. And believe it or not, the couples with the healthiest relationships are couples that fight the more frequently, but they're dealing with little skirmishes all the time that they kind of deal with, right? And then it helps them avoid the big stuff. Is it bad to tell the truth to your lover? I think another way to ask that question is, should you hold secrets from your lover? And the answer is, it depends what you think will hurt them, because loving somebody is not trying to hurt them, right? So let's say they have a lot of issues about partners you had in your past. They don't need to know those details, right? Gentlemen don't like to hear about the football team that we all had fun with once upon in our lives, right? So sometimes there are some secrets you might keep. But in current days, you probably shouldn't keep too many secrets. How do I manage trash? What do you mean trash? You mean literally taking out the trash? I pay my teenager to do it. She wants an allowance. So I say, okay, it's the one thing I hate. It's taking out the trash. So you do it. Michael's got a question. New relationship, long distance, Washington State to Florida. You can't get more diagonal in the country than that. Neither of us can move anytime soon due to children and exes. What advice do you have? Okay, so here's the problem with these long distance relationships that don't have an exit strategy or an end date. You end up, you know how there's like a delay in communication? So they send you a text or leave you a message or whatever, and you wait and you can think it over and whatever. So there is what's the word I'm looking for? Unrealistic kind of communication style because of the lag you have. But secondly, you're filled with all these projections of how perfect you believe that person is, because what you're not really faced with is the day-to-day problems with kids and exes and taking out the trash and all those other things. And so long-distance relationships can be very idyllic. Now, on the other hand, Michael, let me say this. Long-distance relationships can sometimes be very supportive and reassuring while you're busy focusing on kids and getting economic security and planning for whatever. My point is, the amount of connection that you have with this person may sustain you emotionally, and that may be enough for a few years till your kids get older. It may not end up that you'll be with this person in the same city or same town. It's good to hold the fantasy that you will, but in the meantime, focus on what it does give you now. Okay. Akshay asked about my latest TikTok. What was my latest TikTok? How to slow down intimacy with your partner. I think you mean that in order to grow emotional intimacy, you have to slow down the sexual pace of the relationship. It's the only way to do it. The brain can't tolerate physical intimacy and emotional intimacy at the same time with a stranger, right? So it's going to choose one or the other. And I would say just slowing down the pace of the sexual relationship will help you build the emotional intimacy, because in the end, that's the glue, right? When the lust neurohormones start to die down, and people think, oh, I've fallen out of love. Maybe they didn't fall in love in the first place, right? So you just got to slow it down. It bothers me when a friend calls me silly. Am I sensitive? Well, what's wrong with being sensitive? Can I just say, like, who turned that into a negative thing? So if it bothers you and this is a real friend, then I would say, hey, I don't like it when you call me that. Would you not do that in the future? And see what happens. And if they don't respect your boundaries, then they're not a friend. Move on. Lena asks, how important is physical attraction in a long-term relationship? Here's the crazy thing. Believe it or not, sex skills can be learned. Yeah. If you have a good friendship and you have good emotional intimacy. Now, we do know that there are some people that their DNA is just, really attracted to each other. We call that the chemistry, right? That's why everybody wants to rush to bed so they can find out if they have the chemistry. But even the chemistry dies down after a while. And then you got to get into sexual strategy, planning, scheduling, etc. Buzzy says, how do you deal with someone who's all about themselves? Why do you want to be with somebody who's all about themselves? I mean, relationships, both love relationships and friendships, are supposed to be reciprocal, right? So move along is what I would say. Let's see. Wayne, I cannot answer that question because I don't have enough information of the physiology that you're talking about. I don't, and Jonathan, I do not understand that question about love professionally or love sexual intercourse. What's professional love? I don't know. Oh, Ronald, I'm sorry to hear that. You're not going to die alone. Nobody dies alone because we're all connected. We are not only cooperative breeders, we're a cooperative species, and we are many one mind. Sometimes when I meditate, I'll think of somebody and then the phone will ring and it'll be them, because I know I'm connected to a lot of people. I don't think technology helps though. I really don't. Like, even though I'm reading the lovely things that you guys are saying, it's not the same. You did lots of Zoom meetings over the course of this. It's just not the same as being in the same room. Shano Pretty Shield says, can you talk more about dating in the 50s? There's no difference dating at any stage of life, except that you're going to maybe have different relationship goals, right? If both of you have your own financial independence and you want to leave some of your finances to your kids, your house, whatever, you're going to talk about a prenup. You're going to talk about when you're going to live together and that kind of such. I don't think it's harder to find love at any stage, as long as you're on the apps and you're really honest and authentic. You see, the apps, sorry, I have to get more comfortable. The apps allow people to select based on age. So if you're a woman in her 50s and you match with anybody, they're looking for somebody in their 50s. It's not like you have to pretend to be young. And believe it or not, peers mostly are attracted to peers across the lifespan. They want the commonality. I mean, I want to be with somebody who remembers disco, right? So I like that. And there is a small percentage of both men and women who prefer to date younger people because their brains are tricking them and they feel younger maybe, and their brains are tricking them into thinking they're in their fertility window and they're not. What other question? I was wondering the same thing. But I will say when I'm talking about dating over the age of 50, there are more scammers, right? Because the digital natives can smell them out, but older people can't as much. So really be careful of the romance scammers if you're over 50. These are people who say, oh, they're in the military and they're in another country, or they fall in love with you online, but there's always a million reasons why they can't get on that plane to get there. And then ask you to send them money because there's a sick relative or whatever, right? Wayne's question is, how do you work through loss? Wayne, I know. I want to say this. The big answer is time, really. But I would take that time to grieve. Allow yourself to feel the feelings of loss. If grieving, whether it's breaking up from a relationship or losing someone to death, if grieving lasts longer than 6 months, I mean, serious depression grieving, we call this complicated grieving. And in this case, you might want to get somebody, a therapist who specializes in grieving, to help you. But I will say, don't avoid your feelings, but do remember to surround yourself with people who love you for you, friends and family and coworkers who help support you. Because you see, every person we interact with enlivens a piece of our personality. And so being like, for instance, when I'm sad, I don't know if anybody saw, I was sad yesterday. I posted a sad TikTok video. I have a couple friends on speed dial who are very funny and they always make me feel good, right? So think about who you could reach out to. Buzzy says, it's 20 years now, late in the game. I'll be 66. It feels like good companionship. Well, that's the other thing, is that relationships are different when you're older because there's less emphasis on sexuality and more on companionship and friendship, right? You know, every relationship is an exchange of care. That care can take so many forms, right? The care can be financial care, it can be child care, domestic responsibility care, it can be emotional support care, it can be instrumental care when somebody's sick. And the 2 times in our lifespan when we need relationships more than ever is during the years of pregnancy and nursing and raising small children, and in our later years when our bodies start to decline and we don't want to die alone and we do want a friend. You know, I went to the most amount of weddings in my 20s and in my 50s. Isn't that fascinating? It's the next round. Akshay says, oh, that's Buzzy. Akshay. Oh, you're welcome, Buzzy. Akshay says, I'm worried my future wife will take all my money. How do I avoid that? That's why we have prenuptials, right? You know, the best advice I can give you on division of finances is a simple one. She earns a certain amount of money. You earn a certain amount of money. You divide the expenses based on percentages of what you earn. Now, what happens is when children come into the picture, right? Because if she's taking a break from her career and it's harder for her to get back on the career path, she can't be, you know, that same thing. So you have to think about the value of parenthood, whoever does the bulk of the parenting, and put it into the equation. I also think that even when people are married, they need their own separate independent accounts so that they can buy birthday presents for each other. And they need a community account. But they also, I was going to say, they need their own accounts. They need a community account. They need no secrets when it comes to finances. Although I read the statistic today that something like 20% of married people have a secret account, like they're planning to leave. Anyway, but there's something else I wanted to say about money. Oh, really healthy couples, when they have extra money in their individual account, they tend to invest it back in the relationship by buying experiences, paying for a vacation or a date or something like that. Brian, it's always good to see you. How are you feeling, Brian? All recovered from COVID? You know what? I have 2 young people, nieces and nephews of my friend Maria, who got COVID even though they had the vaccine, like with symptoms. I know, I'm back to the masks. I have my friend, I have a physician friend, Maggie, who came over the other night to test my daughter because she suddenly had a sore throat. Everyone's taking off the masks and now people are getting colds and flus and everything. Glad you're all recovered, Brian. And she was saying, Maggie was saying that she's seeing such spike in cases now. So as I like to say, if you didn't get vaccinated, we're going to know who you are real soon because you're going to get sick. Just saying. Oh, thank you for thanking me for the TikToks. I got to figure out the TikTok algorithm problem. I'm going to make a TikTok tonight, in fact, and post it. Tell me if you're able to see it, because here's what's been happening. So the way you grow on TikTok is people duetting your videos, right? And making comments or reactions. And the one video that I have up there about men don't fall in love through sex has 3.4 million views because it was duetted all around the world. So if I mix music, a music bed underneath, people cannot duet it. And here's what I noticed. If I don't put music so that you guys can duet it if you want, then somebody reports me for violating community guidelines. Now, I don't violate community guidelines, but just the fact that you've received a report makes TikTok start to shadow ban you. So the first thing they do is they remove the audio. So you see me just talking in silence. Then I have to upload the video again and mix it with music. But they start to shadow ban you. So I was getting 6,000 to 10,000 new followers a day. And I was getting hundreds of thousands of views, sometimes millions of views on my videos. And now I'm getting a few hundred views on each video. And then they let that run for 2 or 3 weeks and then back up again. And then I'll post something without music underneath and boom, somebody complains. So it's either a competitor, maybe a guy who doesn't like that I'm telling women slow down the sexual pace of the relationship. But anybody who understands the TikTok algorithms and tell me how I should combat this, please do, because I would like to know. Yeah, but I don't use music without permission. I only use, but thank you for saying that. I only use the music that TikTok provides, right? Can I talk about monogamish relationships, mostly with a little mix of non-monogamy? Okay, so here's the thing. It's the same with, you can call it polyamory, you can call it swingers, call it whatever you want. What do they call it? An ethical non-monogamy. The truth is we have an oversupply of successful women in our culture. When women make more money and rise in economic status, they don't need to withhold sex to hope a guy will marry them for their virginity or whatever. They can just have sex for sex's sake. As a result, women also want to have a relationship, a committed relationship with a guy who makes as much money as them or has as much education, as much social status. But those guys are riding this wave of free sex. So I'm seeing a rise in ethical non-monogamy, monogamish, polyamory, partly because when you have an oversupply of successful women in the marketplace, they have to make a choice, which is, let's see, date down, a guy with less education, less money, date same sex, that's why bisexual goes up, or share a man. So that's why it's happening. The question is, can you live with it? If you want to, fine. I mean, everybody's different. It's really only a small percentage of humans that can suppress their naturally evolved sexual jealousy, because that's part of evolution. It was meant to keep us together, raising the kids that were ours. But, you know, I would talk about it. It's entirely up to you. I always, you know, for me personally, not you, you're different. For me personally, it would never fly with me, ever. No way. Okay. Oh, skipping. Where was that, on Facebook? I love you, staying watch, but I can't take the skipping anymore. I wonder what's doing that, whether it's your internet, my internet. I'm very traditional. Not many want to marry because they get it for a few dinners. Yeah, exactly. I don't know about stock frauds. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap up now because I actually do want to record unless there are any last minute. Oh, wait, you're divorced? Daryl, let me get to this. I'm 65, recently retired, still care a lot about my ex-wife and our dogs together. Yeah, so she's still your secure attachment figure. We have stayed apart, but I met another woman. I know it's just lust. And my ex-wife and I, when I'm down in Southern, really enjoy good sex together. I don't know if I could live with her again. Well, it's for you to decide how honest you want to be. I mean, find out if your sexual partners are sharing germs with others. Ask yourself, does your ex-wife want to know if you're in another sexual relationship? These are moral dilemmas. These are for you to figure out what you feel comfortable with. Some people can't live with the guilt, and others can. My husband is dating a young girl from who is employed. Give me some advice on how I should stop their relationship. You can't stop their relationship. You can only set a boundary for yourself. If you're going to put up with this and stay around, then you're giving permission. You're giving silent permission. You can nag him. You can yell at him. You can do whatever you want. He's not going to change unless you actually change your behavior as a reaction. If your husband's having an affair and you're not happy with it, then tell him and leave. Yeah. How do I stop getting gaslit by parents every day at 7 p.m.? You turn off your phone. You don't go over. I don't know. You block them. Block them. Okay. I got to go because I want to record a couple TikTok videos before I have my little tequila tonight. I love you all. Stay tuned because very soon, I don't know how soon, maybe in a few weeks, I'm going to stop doing my live streams here and I'm going to create a super private community of just people who care over on Patreon. You can go check on my Patreon channel today. I just started it, so it's not much there, but it was fun spending the day on my computer setting up stuff. That's also where Mating Matters podcast is going to be. So thank you, Chris. I really appreciate it. As usual, please make sure you listen to my radio show, the Dr. Wendy Walsh Show, on KFI AM 640 Los Angeles every Sunday from 4 to 6. This Sunday coming up, we have a very special show. We not only have a 3-hour show, and if you can't get it live on the iHeartRadio app, you can always listen to it the next day. But my guest is my hero, Dr. David Buss from the University of Texas, Austin, the world-famous evolutionary psychologist who has studied the science of love and relationships around the world. So please tune into my show on Sunday or listen to it the day after on the iHeartRadio app. Just download the iHeartRadio app, search Dr. Wendy Walsh or KFI AM 640. And honestly, I'm so excited that he's going to be on my radio show this Sunday. And it's a special 3-hour show from 4 to 7 p.m. on Sunday. Good to see you all. We'll see you here next Wednesday again. Love you all too. Thank you for the nice things you're saying. It's really sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.